There were a few times. What happened?
I had to bring him home. By the time I was old enough,
Yeah.
my uncle was the police chief, and so one time before I had my driver's license, my Uncle Ted said, "Look, I know you know how to drive, but you need. We're going to pretend that you already have your license. If you need to take your dad home, you drive down, get him, bring him back, get him in the house, and I don't know it. I'm going to give you a break."
How old were you?
I was 14. Uncle Ted.
I bet you loved driving to pick him up at the age of 14.
Not picking up your drunk dad.
No,
Not having to
no.
take your drunk
But I
dad.
bet you loved the driving part.
I didn't see it that
Oh,
way.
yeah.
It was, yeah.
Believe it or not, it didn't embarrass me.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
What do you think? What do you think is the most valuable lesson you took from that time in your life?
To be patient with people who have challenges. I made a decision at that time though, not to drink, and I never drank.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been offered beer. Everybody was offered beer back then, and I turned it all down, and said I'd be glad to. If you want to buy me something, you can buy me a Pepsi.
How did your brothers? How did it affect your brothers, or did it?
Yeah, they both became drinkers, but not. They kind of worked through it.
They saw the worst of it, and so they moderated their own drinking.
They moderated.
Was he a different father when Cindy was born?
No, in fact, he didn't have much to do with my sister. I heard this story later, but he said that she tricked him. Now, reminder, she's 40 years old.
Your mother? Oh, his
Cindy?
wife, your mother.
My mom.
In regards to having the baby.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
but she always wanted a baby girl, and Dad did not want any more children.
Especially midlife.
Yeah, and I kind of understand that, but Cindy was so special to my mom.
Oh, I bet.
You see, my dad died. He was 56.
Yeah.
Very young.
He was 56 when he died.
Mm.
And unfortunately, son number one made the mistake of accusing my dad of what he had problems with, because he was accusing me of something I would never do. I would never drink. The only thing that happened was that I was with some friends at a party that was supposed to be taken care of by adults. And I don't know where the adults were, but somebody dished, what do you call that when they spiked my drink?
Yeah.
And I had to drive home. And I I was drunk as a skunk.
Mhm.
And so I drive home and I'm a happy boy. I am
Feeling good.
feeling good.
Ah.
Driving my dad's car.
Yeah.
And my mom caught. Here's the funny part. I come home and I'm a singing and
Yeah.
having the time of my life. And somehow or the other, I got home safely. And my mom said, "What were you doing coming home drunk? You never drink."
Hmm.
Says, "Mom, I don't drink." That was the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
She put me to bed,
Mhm.
Oh.
and
Well, she knew how. She knew how to.
She
take
knew
care
how to
of
do it.
somebody who's been drinking.
so the next morning I get up and say, "Hi, good morning, everybody." And my mom said, "Dad wasn't home,"
Mhm.
so we had a conversation. And she asked me, "When did you start drinking?" "What do you mean?" "I don't drink." "Yes, you do." I said, "No, I don't. I never drunk." She looked at me kind of funny, and I said, "You really don't remember last night, do you?" "No."
Hmm.
She said, "When you walked in here last night at midnight, you were as drunk as a skunk."
Hmm.
And I don't even know how you drove the car home. I'm really glad your dad wasn't up.
Mm.
Mom, it took a very strange conversation going back and forth.
Mm.
So I said, "Mom, I don't know anything about what you're talking about." And I said, "But apparently my friends are not my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Who would let you drive home drunk as I was?" And I had to cross a highway.
Well, and it was spiked. It was against your consent to drink it.
Well, yeah, but back in those days, drunk is still drunk.
Did
Yeah.
your father ever have any negative consequences legally?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm.
How about health wise?
Well, drinking finally killed him because he had when he was coming home one night that I didn't go get him. I wasn't even home. I was just in school at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, trying to
Take your time.
put it all together. Please don't tear up the
Kitty, kitty,
kitty, kitty, kitty, kitty,
kitty,
kitty, kitty, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Crazy cat. I don't think she's tearing it up, but she is biting it.
I just found it interesting that your answer, to my question of what's the most valuable lesson you took from your childhood was that to be patient with people with difficulties, specifically with alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I just find that very beautiful. But I also just find it interesting that that's the answer that you give.
Mm-hmm.
The most valuable lesson you took from that.
Well, I had some other really interesting things that occurred. I wasn't a Christian at the time. I went to church. I love going to church, singing in the choir. Just, I'm still young. I'm a teenager. And I had several people who came up to me and said things that pointed me to the Lord. I wasn't a Christian, but I was drawn to some of the things these people said. There was two very interesting ladies that came into my life. One, she had me call her Mama Jarman, and she worked at it in a. I worked for a time in. Don't tear up the book.
So Mama Jarman.
She was my one of my friends' grandmother. She lived with them, and he and I got to be pretty good friends. He was a railroad dude, and he took me to the he took me to the railroad one night with permission, and we spent all night at the railroad station switching cars. I'd never done anything like that in my life, but he was friends with the switchman. And so he invited the boy, the other guy, to bring his friend. So we went down there that one night. We went at midnight and left at 6. He says, I don't want you to be caught here because it's illegal for you to be here. But we had the best time. That was more fun. But anyway, back to Mama Jarman. She would tell me things about Jesus. She was a lovely woman. I really, really liked her. So we became very instant friends, even though she's not my grandmother. There was another lady who was my first year teacher in high school, and I cannot remember her name for the life of me, but she was a unique woman, but she loved the Lord.
What made her unique?
Well, she knew how to get children's attention in that first year class.
Gifted.
Very gifted, and she took a liking to me after she boxed my ears.
And that was first grade?
That got my attention.
How old were you?
I was 13
Why did she box your ears?
because I talked too much. Not enough to hurt me,
No.
but enough to get my attention.
Enough to choose your words more carefully.
Yes, I was very, but for some reason she took a real liking to me.
Yeah.
What about when you were 10 and you were laying in the grass?
There was that. My first real consciousness of God's control. And who is this? Who is this?
Princess Beyonce, of course.